The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more connecting online, and more personal info potentially being exposed to identity thieves. But with a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist, you don't have to face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or other losses from identity theft all alone. If your identity is stolen, we'll work to fix it. Backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package. Spend more time on holiday fun, not identity worries. Save up to 25% your first year. Go to lifelock.com/aware.
Welcome to the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and former therapist with a background in counseling psychology. This podcast is for strong, high-achieving women who want more in their lives and relationships, who are ready to rise to the next level of growth, healing, and evolution. Nothing changes until you change. And when you change, everything else changes around you as a result. If you're done with feeling powerless within the chaotic and toxic dynamics in your relationship and don't even know where to begin with making changes, I've got you covered. I know you've tried everything, including counseling, watching hours of videos, and reading stacks of books on narcissism, and find that all it does is leave you feeling even more stuck and in the same place. None of these things work when you're living with a narcissistic spouse because the root causes of the symptoms are not being addressed. As with physical health, there is an emotional, physical, spiritual, and psychological component to healing and overcoming the problematic symptoms and pain you're facing every day in your life and relationship. If you're ready for a direct, no fluff, no nonsense approach to take you into your personal power and take back your life, you are in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode. In this episode, we're diving into gaslighting because I believe that in an abusive relationship where there's violence, mental abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, and sometimes physical, that gaslighting is the number one tool that narcissistic abusers use. Not all people use these tactics, but when it's happening to you, you will know it. And I also think that this word does get overused, and it's used in these broad ways when what it really is it's a slow and steady, destabilizing psychological manipulation tactic. And while someone can gaslight you in one incident where maybe they behave in a certain way and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, like that's not what happened, when you know what happened, that can happen with friends, that can happen with the legal system, that can happen with family, it can happen all over. But when it is an intimate relationship like this or a marriage, there is more opportunity for the abuse to occur, right? Because you're with this person all day, every day. So it's a systematic tactic of destabilizing you and making you question your reality. It's used so they can avoid taking accountability for their bad behavior and for their actions. And it's used to confuse you and plant seeds of doubt in you. They use tactics of denial or misdirection, contradiction, and lying to make you doubt yourself. And they want you to question your own perception of events, because when you're doing that, then they're getting away with what they're doing when you're spending time trying to replay what happened and wondering, did I get it wrong? Or maybe I'm not seeing this clearly. And the goal of someone who uses gaslighting as a pattern, right? A pattern of control and mental manipulation. The goal is to wear you down and exhaust you. So you know this when you have been in an interaction with someone like this, you come out feeling like your head is not on your shoulders. You can't even think straight. You're exhausted within a few minutes of interacting with this person because it's like doing mental gymnastics in one conversation. And so when you're worn down, what do? You walk away, you give in, you apologize, you make concessions, all of those things. Now, they also use denial. And remember that toddlers use denial. I remember when my girls were little, they would like, oh no, I didn't eat more of the cookies when they ate the cookies. Or no, I didn't have any candy. Or yes, I ate all my dinner. When they didn't. That's a toddler way of being. But when you're seeing that in an adult, so that they can avoid getting in trouble, that's a huge problem, right? And it's a deferral tactic to just be, I didn't do that. I never said that. That didn't happen. When you know blatantly well that is what happened. That was what was said. But It still plants the seed of doubt in your mind. And because you are weakened and your mindset is not strong, you fall into their reality and you question yourself instead of questioning them. So then they've won. They will also use changing the subject, so redirection, to avoid responsibility. So when you are trying to address one thing that they have done, it will be, what about you? You do this too. Do you think you're perfect? What about that time you did this? How can you give me hell when you do this? You do it too kind of stuff, right? So, or changing the subject altogether. What about that day this year you did that? Or it could be any number of things, or it's your mental health. This is the reason, like, you need to go to the doctor and get on some medication. I'm really concerned about you. There's something not right with you. Like, are you okay? That kind of stuff. So they will completely just change the subject to redirect and evade responsibility. So I want you to remember a word. It's attrition. And the definition of attrition is gradually weakening something and destroying it. So kind of like that adage, death by 1,000 paper cuts. So it's not what they do one time, it's what they do consistently over time. And this is where women start to question themselves, because maybe you're with someone that doesn't do big things like breaking things, raging, coming home drunk, swearing at you, yelling, screaming, like outward, overt, name calling, that kind of thing. Like maybe you're with someone that is like that because on the outside they want to appear like the sane one. They don't want to do anything outward that could be seen by anyone as obvious misbehavior or bad behavior, right? And so what they do is it's undercover. It's very subtle. It's happening just below your awareness and consciousness. And it is these little cuts every day, over and over and over and over again, that start to weaken you. And then when you start feeling weakened, you start to believe, this is all I can have. This is all I deserve. This is just the best I can get. I need to make the most of this. Leaving would be worse. Maybe it's not that bad because he doesn't do any of these big, huge, bad things that are obvious to other people. In fact, other people think he's quite wonderful. They also redirect responsibility for their behavior onto you. So things like, why are you attacking me for this? Or you've done so much worse. You think you're perfect, right? So you're trying to bring up something and they're redirecting. And this is why these conversations go nowhere and you're exhausted by the end, because all you're doing is defending yourself against their deflecting and redirection. And the other is that you get the feeling that you're crazy, right? And they have a way of maybe not even necessarily saying you're crazy. They might, but it's the little things that they say, like, are you okay? Like, something's been not quite right with you lately. Those kind of things. Is it your period? Like, maybe you need to go see a counselor. Putting those doubts in your head that you are the one that's losing your grip with reality. So they rely on you and others to believe that you are the crazy person. So others won't believe you when you tell them about their behavior. So they want to paint you as the unstable one, the one with the problem, the one with the mental health issue. When if you do show signs of a mental health issue, it is in response to the abuse. So this is really important. This is where it can really become a vicious cycle, because you may very well be reacting from this behavior, this treatment, in ways that maybe other people do see. Maybe you completely lose it, or you're yelling, or you're raising your voice and scaring your kids, or maybe you throw something, or maybe you get physical because you've reached your limit. And so, yeah, you look like the crazy one. You look like the one with the problem. You look like you're the abusive one, because they've pushed you and pushed you and pushed you. It's like the Chinese water torture. They just drip, 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 drip until you explode. So you have to be very mindful of that tactic and make sure that you are conducting yourself in the best way possible and learning how to deal with that when it's coming at you, so you don't make it worse, so you don't react and do something that will make everything worse. The other piece with gaslighting is the thick confusion. It is thick brain fog. They do things to confuse the issue and say things to confuse the issue to make it more complex and more complicated than let's just deal with your bad behavior. They are doing everything that they can to destabilize your position. A necessary component to gaslighting is that the goal is to shake the target's stability by getting the target to question everything. So this is questioning your perception. Maybe I did get that wrong. Maybe I don't remember that right. Maybe he didn't do that. Maybe I did do this. Maybe that really did happen. And you're constantly questioning yourself. It destabilizes your position. Like you could go into trying to have a conversation very clear on the issue, what just happened, and walk away thinking, maybe I didn't get that right, or maybe I just shouldn't have brought it up in the first place. So remember that their goal is to pull the rug out from under you and to destabilize you. So your work has to be learning how to stay grounded in the moment, in your body, in your reality. This is the work that we do inside of my programs. This is what we do in the cycle, is it's you learning how to respond to these tactics and this manipulation so that you can stand firmer in your own reality. Because without that, you will not be able to get out of the situation until you start to get a firmer grasp on your own reality and your inner stability, your inner validation, knowing what's right, what happened, what you feel, what you saw, what you heard, and standing in that conviction. Part of gaslighting is also projection. So they start to blame you of doing the same thing. Now, this could happen for sure on occasion where it's like, well, you do that too, actually, right? And it's a conversation of like, oh yeah, I guess I do. We kind of both do that. Okay. But this is more of it. It's just another part of the pattern of you say, I feel rejected or whatever. And like, I feel rejected. Like, I feel hurt too. You hurt me all the time because of this, and this. You're not the only one that's hurting. You're not the only one that feels this way. And so then you're usually like, okay, well, I can own that. Sure, I can take that. Sure, I'm sorry. I and it becomes about you because you're the one that is willing to take responsibility for yourself, right? So it could be, you don't listen to me. I don't feel heard. Well, you don't listen to me either. You never listen to me. Remember the other day, and off you go. Like, off you go somewhere else. And then you're like, that didn't happen. I didn't say that. So all these things just take you away from the topic at hand. That's the whole goal. So if you can remember that, then you can better stay in your own reality when you realize, okay, I'm going down this road to go to destination A, and now he's trying to get me to take a U-turn or I'm going to end up at destination Z. I'm not doing that detour. I'm staying focused on my reality. That's the key to breaking out of the gaslighting brain fog and staying clear in your own reality. And then the last that we'll talk about here is isolation, that they really start to make you believe that other people accept their position in order to diminish your position, to make you believe others are supporting him over you, like other people think this too, or this person thinks that about you too, or this person said this about you. And so then what happens is that you stop going to those people because you feel further isolated because you think that they are aligning with them. And not saying that that has not happened or doesn't happen, because unfortunately it does, but sometimes they're just saying it for the illusion to make you believe that. And again, this is systematic. It's all of these things are happening on a continual basis. This is not just a one-off misunderstanding situation. This is happening to where you question what's really happening. You don't know what end is up. And remember that when you're isolated, where you're not seeing other people, you're not with other friends, you're not seeing other family, that gives them more control. And someone actually brought this up. This just reminded me, I think it might have been in our private Facebook group. She said that vulnerability for some women is that they meet these men in a different country that is not their country. away from friends, away from family, all of this. And then they feel isolated. They literally don't have anybody around them. And then sometimes they can't get out of that country, or they have kids there and they're not allowed to leave that country with kids. And in some countries, leaving the home is considered parental abandonment, and you would be reprimanded for that, or you'd have repercussions for that. So there are lots of other factors here. Like the isolation piece is more than just saying, oh no, you can't go out with your friends. Like, no, I'm coming with you, or no, you're not going out. It comes from other ways of like bad mouthing the other person, or trying to say, oh, that person's just trying to break us up, or they're just, they're not happy in their own relationship, or things like that. And so it's a negative, they're talking really negative about people that are important to you in order to drive a wedge. So then you have less people in your corner to see what's actually going on. Because when it's just you and you don't have healthier other frames of seeing things, that's when you sink deeper and deeper and deeper into the quicksand. Because all it would take is being able to hear other women's stories and have someone give you a different perspective to say, yeah, that's not normal. That's violence. That's financial abuse. That's mental abuse. That's emotional abuse. And sometimes it is just about labeling it and seeing it and knowing it. And that's why inside of my program, it's my signature course, that right now I am open for, it's open for self-study. I don't have any groups going right now for it, but it's all self-study, so you can go through it on your own time. But in the first module, I go very in depth into all of these things that they do and how you can respond differently, what you need to do to stay in your own reality so that you do respond differently and you don't react and make it worse, and how you can do your best, at least, to maintain your own inner stability in this. Because that's the first steps, is having that self-awareness, getting in your body, learning how to deal with this. If you're in a position that you can't leave right now, or you have a lot of complications, that doesn't mean that you have to sit there and twiddle your thumbs. You could be growing and transforming yourself and becoming educated, developing your self-awareness around it, because that's the first key, is having the awareness of, yeah, it is really that bad. Yeah, this is really bad. And so now what am I going to do about it, right? So if you would like more information on my course, you can always head to my website, Narcissistic.com, and check out my course selection. And if you are interested in one-on-one coaching, I have limited spots available for that each month. But you can apply for that to get on a quick call with me to see if that's a fit. If you are really serious about taking some big steps, that would be the option for you. And I'll leave all of that info in the show notes. So make sure that you are questioning the other over questioning yourself. That's a really good takeaway. So when you go into something and you're clear and you know what's happening, you make sure that your default is questioning yourself. Now your default is questioning them. Why would they be doing this? What are they trying to avoid here? What are they trying to control here? And put it back on that, and then ask yourself, okay, so what is within my control in this right now? What's in my power? And then you can take steps from there. Thanks so much for tuning in to this edition of the Awakening Women podcast. If you love this episode, please take a moment to share it and leave a 5-star rating and review. If you're ready to take your next step, head to the link in the show notes to sign up for my latest free class. Also, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Awakening Women Official and join the conversation. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again in the next episode. Take care of yourself in the meantime, and I'll see you online.